Hi, my name is Jeff and I have a problem. And that problem is that I like to hunt on a food plot and a food source. I have to resist those urges. Ever since I started playing food plots in 1995, I've wanted to sit there because that's where the deer come from and I get to see, or come to, every single afternoon, and I get to see lots of deer. This tree behind me is a great example. I have to resist the urge to put a ladder stand in that tree for this year and hunt. Really resist that. So I have that problem. Now that problem is brought on a lot of times is you look at the Outdoor Channel, you look at cable TV, you look at YouTube channels. There are a lot of celebrity hunters out there that will sit on a food plot and shoot monster bucks. What you don't know though is that when you transfer that same level of success from Iowa, Missouri, Kentucky, Kansas, some of those fantasy land states I like to talk about, and you put them in northern region, let's say Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, maybe portions of Ohio, Indiana, even portions of Illinois, big buck state. And the list goes on. I can go with Vermont, New Hampshire, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey. There's a lot of areas where you transfer that, or you try to transfer that same level of success that you see with these celebrity hunters hunting out of blinds or tree stands in the middle of a food plot to your home state, and it just doesn't work because the deer are more wary. Because you don't have 50 setups like that you can let set and sometimes not even hunt it for the same, for a year. Maybe even more until you see the conditions are right for a certain buck. You have to resist the urge, and part of that, the biggest step and the first step with any problem is to admit you have a problem. And so hunting on a food plot is a real problem. Now I can talk about this location in particular because we did hunt out of this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 3 seasons ago. So when the corn was planted on this end and it extended out about 20 yards and it was all corn on this whole half of the food plot, we could have a trail coming through the corn. We get up into this stand, we can blow our scent back through the corn, and the deer that were out in the green out here would pass through. They typically pass through this way. So they come out and feed, they pass through, and they're out of here. So we could get in and out of that stand without spooking them. When the coast was clear, we could get out because after dark, they're going somewhere else. They're just staging up here until dark. So it was a perfect scenario. But you can see that stand is not there because last year we didn't have the corn here. This year, the corn is just on this half. And if these deer are feeding back and forth through here, they'll come through the corn to get here. It makes it a lot more risky to hunt that location, and we just can't do it without spooking deer. So that's kind of the scenario. It is a problem. Why is it a problem? Because we come out here and we spook these deer one time, we ruin this entire food plot for daylight movement. But it's not just that. If we ruin this food plot for daylight movement, we ruin the bedding area that we worked on in this point, on the backside over here, down in the bottom. All those bedding areas are taken out because if they're not here during daylight or using this, then they're somewhere else. It doesn't mean that they just sit back in those bedding areas, wait till dark, and then come over here. Some does, fawns, young bucks might. But the mature bucks are gone, most of the doe herd is gone, and they're on to greener and safer pastures. They don't even necessarily be greener or more attractive, but they're on to safer pastures where they can actually have that afternoon bedding to food source movement during daylight that they prefer. That's the setup. You come in here one time and it's spooked, and it's spooked out for 2 or 3 weeks. How many of you spook out a food plot like this and hunt it and then just wait 3 weeks for it to heat back up again and then waltz on here and hunt? Most people do not. They have a blind out here in the middle, they spook the deer, and it ruins your hunt. But it doesn't just ruin your hunt, it ruins this food plot for daylight use, which extends 200 yards into the woods in any direction, and ruins those locations too. In the case of this, where it's a 2-acre food plot, if we ruin this area, we're taking out about 30 acres where we can expect to take deer out of for daylight movement, and that has a drastic effect on not only our herd building ability, but also, of course, our hunt. So you can't do that. You have to manage this level of attraction. We have 3 food plots in Wisconsin, for example, on the property we hunt there, and we don't hunt those. Dylan and I sat one time in December when it was what, like 5 degrees, Dylan, and we were freezing. And down there, or at least I was freezing. Dylan's tougher than I am. He's probably nice. Cold. And so we had some, we thought it was a slam dunk for some does. That's what we were out there for. and they went way above us on the hillside around us. And I was bundled up and very, very warm, but that was more like one of those, we're not hunting there anymore. It was during the three or 4 day doe hunt in December, and I already filled my archery tag, so we were sitting there with a bow, gun season tag, and you know, it didn't work out. But other than that, over there in Wisconsin, 2014 was our first year hunting there, and we have yet to sit on the food plots. Now we sit on the food plots from a distance, and that's a way we can manage a level of attraction, because you just can't spook out those food plots or you ruin the entire property. In that case, there's only about 30 acres of cover. So if we spook out those 3 food plots down in those valleys where it's open, then we spook out all of our cover for daylight movement. It ruins our rut, it ruins our open day gun season, it ruins our entire season just by spooking out those food plots. And that's how drastic it is and how careful you have to be. So what do? Those food plots are critical. They draw they draw deer here every single afternoon during the daylight. You have to manage that, let it go. And what I mean by that is these deer, once they're here and they're here during daylight, you've accomplished what the majority of hunters around you do not. And that is establishing a daylight food source where deer can depend on, and they get here and they feel safe. Sigh of relief. They come into this, they feel safe. They're not here, they're not in those bedding areas. So this is the most critical, because you can spook them out of a random bedding area going in the morning, taking a chance. But if you spook them out of this, all those bedding areas are devoid. They're just not going to be of use. Hey everyone, we'll be right back. But pretty cool, the Earthway Model 2750 that I've been recommending for decades is back. What I mean, the OG version. They tried several different versions over the last 2 years, much to our disappointment. I finally got through to someone at Earthway, and I think a lot of other people did, and they brought the old one back. And so it's pretty cool. We believe in it so much, we're actually carrying it now. So we have them on our site, Pure Wildlife Blends, WHS. You can buy it at either one of those locations. So check it out. We rely on it. I know you can too. Now back to the video. This is something really exciting. We were running out of the old bags. So check them out and ask us any questions you want on how to use them. You'll be very happy with them. So got to manage the level of attraction. It's okay to have food plots that you don't hunt, because that establishes that afternoon pattern of use, and we've really taken advantage of that. Right over here, I shot one a couple years ago. I think it was 2021. Really beautiful buck inside tine on a water hole. That water hole's over there about 80 yards. We get into it by going around this food plot and having a great hunt. Down at the bottom down there, we have a stand we call the cairn. In the cairn, we have a water hole. We've shot deer there in the morning and afternoon. We can get on the outside of all this cover. It's about 300 yards, and down below in the bottom, I shot a deer in there in the morning one time. Jen shot one in the afternoon, both bow bucks, but that's on the outside of cover. On the back side of the cover, again, we take out those stands are gone. We also have a beautiful stand behind me in the woods where we can approach from that way about 150 to 200 yards back. We cut down in the woods, and that's a great morning stand waiting for deer coming off this food. So between that stand, this one over here, the one down at the bottom that we have, those all relied on this food source movement, and this is how we do hunt that food source, or this food source. We have our redneck blind right over there. We can come in behind that wall of sumac. We have shrubs planted around it for big rock trees, some hybrid willows, hybrid poplars, silky willows. They're actually caged in so the deer won't have it, but you can see the big ball and tangle of brush we have there. In fact, this year might be the first year we have to create some shooting lanes. But we walk behind that big wall of switchgrass back there, the shrubs, the natural line of trees and brush are there, and we come in from the opposite direction through switchgrass to get there for several hundred yards. So we have a tunnel through there to get into there. We can get in and out of that blind without spooking deer back here at all. And that's the name of the game. If your blind is too close that you're going to spook deer getting in or out, then you got to get rid of it, you got to move it, you got to change it. You have to avoid the temptation. You have to admit that you have a problem, because it is a real problem. This isn't the Outdoor Channel, folks. This isn't Iowa and you have 7 properties you can hunt on. Some are 800 to 1,000 acres, and you can go in and just hunt and go sit down, and they're going to come in and you shoot them. That's not the way it works in the real world. This is a real world solution here. We hunt this food plot by hunting off to the side on a water hole in the morning or afternoon, down at the bottom on a water hole 300 yards away in the morning or afternoon, on this bench right back here in the morning as deer are coming back off, And then we can hunt this redneck blind for a great afternoon sit where we've really enjoyed some special hunts out here, and hunt with that muzzleloader, shotgun, rifle, whatever season it is that we can hunt out here. We typically hunt with our muzzleloaders all the time. And we've had some really fun sets. Dylan and I have sat here, had some good times. We've had some good times with Jake, Dante, Sam, Jen and I. Heck, even Jackson was out here and we had a good turkey hunt last spring, a year and a half ago, and had a great hunt. So bottom line is, you have to admit you have a problem. Please get off the food plots. You have time to do that. Set up some morning stands, afternoon stands around. By all means, have a gun stand off to the side. Those food plots in Wisconsin have accounted for $8 to $10 muzzleloader and rifle by sitting off a great distance, coming in an area where we're not spooking deer, blowing our scent towards an area where we're not spooking deer, and enjoying a quiet afternoon with friends and family and having a great hunt. And that's what it's all about. Use this food source as it's intended, which is to create a daylight movement in the afternoon where deer can get to, breathe a sigh of relief, feel comfortable, never be spooked. And when you do that, again, you accomplish something that likely none of your neighbors are doing. It's very uncommon in the hunting industry. You develop that 5% property, probably 3% property that I refer to. And it's something I encourage you to do, encourage you to really focus on that, maybe change the way you hunt, because when you can do that and you can accomplish that, it's not only accomplishing something that most people don't get to experience, it's a whole lot of fun because most people don't ever get to hunt that, and that's what's pretty cool. Imagine coming into a food source like this and being able to sit in a blind like that 5 nights in a row and have no negative diminishing return and effect on this food plot and the amount of deer that use it during the afternoon, evening. That's what it's all about. And when you can accomplish that, you support all those stands that support and accompany this movement right here, and it's a whole lot of fun. That's why I want you to take part, enjoy that, and it'll give you a great hunt and really give you a complement of stands that can give you a great hunt for the entire season. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. I appreciate you watching the videos. We have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. It's all free. And I also appreciate those of you that check out our books. I have 5 books starting from 2012. We have web classes on the site, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. Check out Pure Wildlife Blends. I really appreciate you guys that have already purchased our seed. We've had thousands of people. We've shipped to 48 states. We have digital land management through whitetailstrategy.com. That's taking all these ideas and concepts I put in the YouTube videos and digitally transforming your land for you. And then finally, we have our clients and client visits. We'll visit over 300 clients as a group this year. We visit anywhere in the country. Boots on the ground is always the best, but we have a lot of ways to help you, from free to client visits and all in between. Check us out again, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, Pure Wildlife Blends, and whitetailstrategy.com.